Hello again, I'm Tripp Rogers, and this is Tripp's Take. Well, first off, I got a funny story to tell you. It's a family anecdote, kind of. My daughter was tasked with bringing her mom to get a colonoscopy. Now, her mother was brought to do this, dragging and screaming. I mean, she did not want to do this. And it was rather fascinating leading up to this process. And again, knowing Stephanie's mom as I do, I mean, there was some, I think, fear among that. But the biggest thing was, I mean, she'd never done this before. And colonoscopy, I've done that a couple of times. I mean, listen, anybody who's done a colonoscopy knows the prep is the worst part. Well, anyhow, so Stephanie calls me when they're at the store trying to pick up stuff for her to drink. And of course, if you are familiar with getting colonoscopy prep, I mean, you can't have any red dye, green dye, that kind of thing, you know. So anyhow, her mom reads the form and goes, clear liquids. Does vodka count? I am happy to report that everything went well, and Stephanie's mom is fine. Sue is fine, and I'm happy about that. But, listen, I'm sure anyone will tell you the worst part of the colonoscopy is just the prep work. And it is not fun at all. But hey, listen, it's something you do, and you got to do it because, again, if they catch colon cancer early enough, it can save your life or it can give you some time. My mother is a proof of that. I mean, she had cancer. She had cancer surgery in 1997. And she lived to 2004, Christmas time that year. So she lived an extra 7 years. So I'm not going to do a public service announcement. But again, if your doctor recommends it, I would get it. I know it's scary, but I would do that. All right, we're coming up on Memorial Day, and of course, that is the biggest day in racing in the United States, and it's the biggest day of racing pretty much in the world too, because you have one of the crown jewel Formula One events, the Grand Prix of Monaco, and that is just, again, that was the beginning of the movie Grand Prix in 1966 by John Frankenheimer. And Monaco is just such a picturesque place. The only problem now is the cars are so long and the streets are so narrow, you can't pass. I mean, it really is not a very exciting race. But that starts the day for racing fans. 8 o'clock in the morning, you get that race. Then, of course, the greatest spectacle in racing, the Indianapolis 500. And then followed at 6 o'clock by the Coke 600. Now, the thing about the last two races, it will be made more exciting by the fact that Kyle Larson is going to attempt to do the double. He will try to drive both races. Now, it has been done. First guy to do it was John Andretti, who did both races, and he did that. There were other drivers who had driven both races, but that was when it was then called the World 600, was on a different day. And the Indy 500 was, they moved around the calendar, and that was part of it. And it's a lot tougher to do it all in one day, 1,100 miles, and that's a long time to be concentrating. Kyle Larson is going to be the first person to try and do it since Kurt Busch, tried many years ago. Tony Stewart did it a couple of times. He was probably the most successful of the drivers. John Andretti did it too. And Robbie Gordon attempted a number of times, but just was never able to put it all together. Now, of course, one of the flies in the ointment, shall we say, calling for thunderstorms Sunday in Indianapolis. So the $64 question is going to be, how long will Kyle Larson stay with the Indy 500? And if there's a rain delay or something, will he get into the helicopter and fly back to Charlotte for the Coke 600? I mean, his job is NASCAR, and he is going for a NASCAR championship. So, again, it'll be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out. Of course, I'm kind of hoping for good weather. I'd like to see if he could do it. I really would. He certainly showed very well in qualifying at Indy. And of course, we know he's a past NASCAR champion, so we know he's good. He drives anything. I mean, he'll drive sprint cars. He is probably the most versatile racer that we have in America right now. So it'll be interesting to see if he is able to accomplish it on this Memorial Day weekend. Of course, Memorial Day weekend also is the unofficial start of the summer of 2024. So what can we look forward to in the summer of 2024? Well, first off, gas prices are about where they were last year, maybe a little cheaper. This year, it's a presidential election, so it's going to be interesting to see if the summer of 2024 will be any different than the summer of 2025. And, of course, the summertime means the heat's going to pop up, and they're saying it could be a very, very stormy hurricane season in the Atlantic this year. So, of course, I got to knock wood because I live in Savannah on the coast by the Atlantic Ocean. So we shall see what happens. Looking forward to an event coming up. One of the big golf tournaments, and one of the first LPGA golf tournaments I ever attended was the ShopRite Classic down at Summers Point, New Jersey. It's played in the shadow of Atlantic City. A lot of folks love that. I have attended that a couple of times. Well, this year I'm going to go up and I'm going to work it, much like I did with Ionica and worked for NBC as a spotter. I'm going to do the same thing. Golf Channel is going to be doing the coverage, but Golf Channel, NBC, same thing. So I'm going to go up and do that. I'm looking forward to that, but the real advantage I'm going to have is I'm going to be going up and I'll be able to visit my favorite sub shop in the whole entire world, White House Subs in Atlantic City. It is the best subs. And I'm also going to look forward to seeing some friends when I am up in New Jersey. Unfortunately, my high school classmates are getting together on June 1st, and I'm not going up until June 6th. I mean, doesn't it figure? I knew that was going to be a problem. So, and the other part of it is I'm going to be there for 4 days, so I'm going to have to squeeze as much as I can, and then race back here to Savannah because I'll be doing morning drive the rest of the week on Q105.3. So, the duties never stop. It's just you try and do things as you can, but hopefully I'm hoping that I get good travel weather and I don't have any delays because I have a late flight on Monday night, and getting up at 5 in the morning, not conducive to getting in at 1 or 2 in the morning. You know how that works. And that's going to do it for Tripp's Take for May the 23rd. 2024. Oh, before I go, I got to wish my sister a happy birthday. I'm not going to tell you how old she is. She is my younger sister, though. I'll be celebrating number 65 next month. Love to hear your comments and questions about my podcast. Just feel free to email trippstake@gmail.com. If you like the music of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, hey, tune in to WTRSradio.com. Join us again next week. I thank you for joining me. For now, Tripp Rogers. Make it a great one.